So why was Santa upset he got a sweater for Christmas?
Why?
Oh, he wanted a screamer or maybe a moaner.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Carnival Personnel. I'm Joe.
I'm Jacques, and you're doing it. You go for it.
I'm going to go for it. I'm feeling really Christmassy this year.
If you can do that, seriously, this will be, with the exception of Self-Indulgent Theater, if you can hold that cadence throughout, that will be the greatest hour of my life. The last half hour will be awful.
Let's see how it goes.
Hey, welcome to Carnival Personnel. I'm Jacques.
I thought I introduced the show, but I'm Joe.
You did introduce you, but I don't think you said, because no one knows what they're listening to unless we say the name.
I did say Carnival Personnel.
You did.
Let's go back to the tape.
Well, you're the smart one and the good-looking one. I'm just the one with the awful opening joke.
Do you need me to explain to you what a podcast is?
Could you please? Actually, you might have to. So, as we record this last night, a really big show over at Uncharted and Lowell. We've talked about it a great deal. Our friends from Gold Star Boulevard, Alex was on the show a few weeks ago, played a set with Dan Cray and Beyond Id, and our friend Nico with a K was there with his band Castling, which I couldn't remember. I knew. I was trying what the hell does that mean? What is it from? Is it from it's from a game? And it was from a game, but not like your games.
It's the game of chess.
Do you know the move?
Yes. I believe it's when the rook and then, is it when the rook and the knight switch places? Or no? No, the king. That's right. And they have to be on the same line, and the back row. And it's, yes.
I don't think you can do it if you've moved either piece. It's not like you can move it and then move it back.
They have to be in their original position. Correct. Right. I'm so far so good with this.
I'm loving it. So it was fun. But Joe, who really stole the show last night?
That would be your younger son.
We could say his name.
Tristan.
Tristan Tiberius.
Or as Dan Cray referred to him, Ozzy. Phase 1 Ozzy.
And I watched the video today. So Dan's looking straight down and sees nothing but hair and two hands holding a mic.
He rocked. He really did.
It was 2 years ago this week, and I only know it was 2 years ago this week because it came up on management's Facebook page. I was at Dan's house jamming, and he came downstairs. So he's 6 at the time, and he goes, "I have a song," and I quickly took out the phone, put it down. He didn't see, and he started singing the song, and he had this whole verse and chorus worked out. Zombies are attacking the world. Zombies are attacking the world. There's nothing left for you to do, zombies. And he goes on. And it's great because he basically cues me when to start because Dan was waiting with the guitar, a little guitar intro as Tristan first starts talking it, then starts singing it, points to me, and he goes, "And stop." And then instantly he goes into, and maybe if I can, management hasn't figured out how to pull it off her iPhone, and we could post it, the original thing, because it's only less than a minute, and instantly he launches into, we got to go get an audience, And Dan's like, maybe we should work out the first song first, and then Tristan's wanting to go upstairs and get his brother and Dan's daughter, and I think she had a friend over, to come down and watch. And Dan's like, "Oh my God, you're your father's son."
All of a sudden, the mailman's sitting on.
You don't have one song worked out and already focused on getting gigs, and then he realizes you recorded it, and so. Last night, and it was one of the upsides for it is the fact that the boys were able, the first time the boys got us to see me play with Dan, to see her at a real club, see the hard work that goes into it, and see a lot of people there and have fun with it. And he really wanted to go up, but he was, he had the stage fright thing, but he did. He went up, and we opened with "Zombies Are Attacking the World." That will be posted on management's Facebook page today, and I'll have her share it with the Carnival page. Is that how the book face works?
I don't know. I don't know how anything works. I don't know how this microphone works. What I do know works is that awful light up reindeer sweater that you wore to not only the gig last night, but also the Christmas party the previous week. But it's admirable that both you and your older son, Grayson, were wearing basically 2 pressure luck boards for shirts.
There is times when Joe questions his funnyhood and questions whether truly anybody outside this room thinks he's hysterical.
I call those daytimes.
He only has those downing, depressing thoughts on days that end in Y. But he knows I think he's funny, but he really doesn't realize how funny he is. And so I put my shirt on, my oldest one gets there, and there's my sister, and who was very hesitant to come to the show because the last time she saw us play in like 92, 93.
Oh, what happened?
She walked into the club and I was playing the drums completely naked, and she had a bunch of friends with her. She walked in and she's like, nope. That was the last time she came to a show.
Probably not a good idea to bring to church.
Yeah, it might have been church friends. And so anyway, my oldest comes over. Our shirts are lighting up. Joe's sitting next to my sister. And as my oldest one turns his shirt on, Joe instantly launches into...
No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Stop.
To which my sister, who you wouldn't peg as a game show aficionado nerd, instantly gets the references, starts laughing uproariously, to which I look at her and say, and this is why I love him.
I think anybody that was alive during the 80s knows no whammies.
But, how ill-prepared was she for a pressure luck reference at Uncharted?
Woefully. Let's just say woefully.
So it was a lot of fun. And like I said, what was really fun is the band Castling, Nico with the K's band. He was excited. He loves one of our songs, Other Break, and he's covered it himself. He would want to see it. And when he realized, we have a bass player, he didn't realize Sean was back in the band, and he doesn't know all the players. He just knows, wait, is that the one whose name is the professor? Because he's heard stories. And I'm like, yeah. So he got to meet Sean. It was fun. And like I said to Joe before we start recording, I'm like, hey, let's talk about on air. I was a little hesitant. On one side of the spectrum, we have our bass player, Sean, who hasn't been jamming with Dan and I in 20 years, telling us how excited he is. And this is great. And he's really happy about it. It's given him something to really look forward to. And if it was up to him, we play a show every month. We would play 10 to 12 shows a year. If it was up to me, we play 3, maybe 4 shows.
If Jimmy Fallon would have you.
If Jimmy Fallon would have it. But I don't know the deal. It's like, can we not go on Kimmel if we've been on Fallon? You know the politics. And I just don't want to.
That's showbiz.
And Dan would like to do it. What is less than 0?
It's a movie starring John Cusack.
Thank you. He took the and so I'm literally in the middle. It's like I get it. It's like it's more fun to play and just jam and no pressure. But at the same time, Castling had a great time. They want to get a Friday night, Saturday night show right now. Same with Gold Star. They wouldn't be able to play as many things. Tristan, but it's also, I saw a guy, Rock, who was a really good friend of Dan and John's and Sean's in college, and I was friendly with him and friends with him. He ran the radio station that we all worked at college. And it was, so I haven't seen him in forever. So those are the things that are nice. I'm not going to get together and drive to a cookout or a picnic just to see somebody like him. And I should say somebody like him, but, just a person I'm not that in contact with.
Vermin.
But it is really nice to just have it there. It's also nice to, kind of show off for the boys because, they're upstairs doing their piano now, and it's nice for them to see, look, this is kind of the payoff. People come to see you. This is a really fun thing. Everybody had fun. So it's a balancing act between Dan wanting to do 0 shows, Sean wanting to do a lot of shows, and truly I'm caught between 2 loves there, Joe.
It's tough. I mean, I knew when I was a lad how devastated I was when I learned that the Beatles were stopped touring, and I think that's where Dan is right now. He's in his Sgt. Pepper phase.
So I'm going to have to tell Dan, look, you have this amazing talent, and with great power comes great responsibility.
Wow. Did you just make that up?
I just made that up right here.
You mean that wasn't Shakespeare and then that was taken by Stan Lee?
No, that's all me.
I'm misremembering 100%. Something? All right, great.
But it's true. It's because, we have some opportunities. We can open the door for other people. It's fun to see people. It's fun to also, jumping ahead maybe to a parenting tip of the week to kind of lead by example. But plus it's fun. The wife likes to get dressed up and go out. It's an excuse for, and we don't agree on a lot of bands, but we agree on this one. So
I noticed that no bands were playing Hungry Like the Wolf, which was a problem.
It was.
For some.
It was. Well, no, I think that was made up for the fact that Goldstar Boulevard has a very pretty bass player.
And a pretty drummer.
They're all pretty. Let's be honest. Like their guitarist. What's the guitarist name? Remember?
Buttons.
That's right. And what's his real name?
I don't know.
And who fucking cares? His name is Buttons, baby.
6 weeks later, it was Wake Up Little Susie.
So there we go. So that was fun. It was great to see Joe. Joe. Not a highlight of the show for the rest of the people in the room, but it's one of my old stand-up bits that I got to do in front of the room.
Oh, God. What was it?
You remember, so Dan breaks a string and Sean's talking and I come and I get the crowd going, a little audience participation.
Yep.
You wanna break it down for the people?
All right, people. Give me an S. S. Give me an H. H. Give me an E. E. Give me another E. E. Give me a P. P. Thank you very much.
And then I walk back to the drums, and then you hear a smattering of laughter drowned out by an ocean of, oh.
I think now that was the first time that I maybe experienced what the podcast listening audience does at home.
Do I get points for spelling it right?
No.
Okay.
What do you want, a cookie? You take care of your kids.
I happen to think that is a great one. Nothing says winning over a crowd by insulting them and getting them to play along with the insult.
100 episodes later.
So anyway, that was great. A little more music. We did a whole...
Wait, more music?
And Les Nessman. We did a whole Christmas song thing last Christmas. I might do another one next year. It will be the same thing, but I like talking Christmas stuff. But management posted on our Facebook the other day that I saw, because she said, go to my Facebook and look at this.
Was it Mommy Kissing Santa Claus? Please don't say it was Mommy Kissing Santa.
It was not.
Okay.
I think I said last year that my favorite Christmas song is Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid. The whole story behind that, how it came together, it was truly, truly, truly a magical moment in time. And she had posted Band-Aid doing Do They Know It's Christmas, months later at Live Aid. And Live Aid, again, Woodstock was Woodstock, and again, time capsule, a pivotal point. You know what I mean? It's one of those I don't know the right way to say it. I'm not articulate enough to say it, but it was a cornerstone in music history. A history, not music history. I mean, the Vietnam War, the protest, and all this. Live Aid was the same. And for me, I think it was more impressive because I think there was more generationally defining bands. I think everybody who was anybody, especially from, the UK, was there. Anyway, so Live Aid is on stage. And, you forget the little things like Phil Collins played drums on it. And people forget. People don't know under 40, Phil Collins was considered up there with the Keith Moons, the Neil Pearts, and the Stuart Copelands as drummers. Not just a guy who counted to 4 fast or slow like me, but somebody who was drummer. He was a drummer on that. Anyways, but in this one clip, as they're singing at Live Aid, they're passing around one mic, and it goes from Bowie to Bono to Freddie Mercury, and they're all standing there, and you're like, if I was to list my top 10 favorite artists of all time, those three are fighting are they all in the top 5? Because they're all in the top 10, but are they all in top 5? And then in this one moment singing this song that didn't matter, that still matters, that means something, that still gets me.
It was the Mount Rushmore of 80s rock.
Yes.
Of like 80s, like especially like British, European rock, you know?
It was. So to see that, so that song, I probably heard it on the radio. It's one of those things. I don't think I've intentionally played it in forever, but you can't be driving and hit the either classic rock or the Christmas stations without it being one of every 5th or 6th song played. It is just great.
It is. And by the way, Live Aid apparently is like the crescendo in the Bohemian Rhapsody movie. Like, Queen's performance at Live Aid.
Nobody knows this. He's truly at that point 1 foot in the grave and the other foot on a roller skate.
I don't know. Is that because he died in 91 and that was 85? That
right.
Was
But he was
6
very
years.
sick.
I don't know. Well, I think I don't know about that.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
You know, but their set, because he only did like a 20-minute set.
Yeah.
Just watch it if you haven't. I mean,
I did. I have.
It's like,
it's amazing.
Wow. I mean, and you sit there and you're like, and it was his death that they weren't bigger, but you forget. No, not you, of course.
I know why they weren't bigger in the United States. Homophobia.
You think so?
Yeah.
The Village People.
But they weren't. The Village People were popular for a time, and they were of a thing. I think, their stadium rock songs were legendary.
Or still are.
Yeah, and then they did a video for I Want to Be Free, or I Want to Break Free.
Right.
And they all dressed up in drag. And
it was band.
It was a band. It was music video. Music video was very influential. I mean, let's not forget when Billy Squier did a music video he did like a very, some could say homoerotic music video.
I can.
His career did not flourish after that video, and that's just the way it was received. Some acts could transcend that, and other acts couldn't. Some acts could just, some acts were just like, George Michael. He wasn't gay out super. I don't know. Was he? Maybe maybe he was. I don't.
Do you know who the other guy in Wham was?
Nobody does. Nobody does. That's a trick question.
No, the trick question is when somebody says, "Oh, it's Adam Richley." You instantly look at the person and say "fag" and walk away. Or at least that's what I did all through the 80s because I was not woke.
Right, exactly, yeah. And thanks for bringing that back to modern day. But I think going back to my point about Queen, I don't think that they were huge because they were huge. But
I mean, their videos, they were one of those bands that was, and I won't get into it. But I wrote a movie script with the guy who discovered Queen. I wrote a movie treatment with the guy who discovered Queen, a guy named Bob Mercer, who was an industry giant, died about 15 years ago. And it was about the making of the Bohemian Rhapsody song. And I'll bore you for just a moment. They were to play on Top of the Pops, which was it. And the music world, the entire music world, it was Top of the Pops. If you're on that,
right? It was a TV show in England,
right? It was equivalent. If you got on Ed Sullivan's show, it was
bigger than American Idol, bigger than
because there was no other competition to it. That was it. Yeah. The rule was if you were local, you had to play it live. You couldn't, do a video unless if you were local, you couldn't do it live. And they weren't going to let them do Bohemian Rhapsody because it was a 6-minute song unless it was number one. And so what Bob Mercer did is and it cost EMI tens of thousands of dollars, but they bought all the records up. They shipped them to the record company or to the stores, the brick and mortar stores. Amazon wasn't moving many things at the time. They bought their own records, then had to repackage them and sell them back so they lost so much to make it number one. And then booked a fictitious tour so that they wouldn't be in town because you can't do that. The way it was,
it's an engineered song,
right?
Yeah, it's pieced together from different components.
And then, when they got big, and you could play to a track or have an orchestra or have all these other elements, but Queen wasn't Queen yet to do that, and so that's when they let them do the video. That video was it. That video changed. That again, that was a moment in time. You can point to Nirvana doing Smells Like Teen Spirit changed things. The Beatles on Sullivan changed things. The Bohemian Rhapsody on
Music
Top
video.
of the Pops
Yeah.
changed things. So, it's interesting. But again, with Live Aid, it's amazing because Bowie was there too, who recorded Under Pressure, arguably the greatest song ever, to actually sing it live with,
Queen.
And anyways, so I got off on tangent. I accept my apologize. Sticking with Christmas music, also the channels always play So This Is Christmas by Lennon and the McCarthy song. What's
Simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Is that Paul McCartney or is that Wings?
That is something that I don't know the answer to.
And
I think it's Wings.
And so the argument was the Beatles more Lennon, was the Beatles more McCarthy? Both of them McCartney, sorry. Both of them had amazing careers. I mean, Paul McCartney still has a great, vibrant career. He truly does. What is he, pushing 80? And he still has a very vibrant career going.
It's a song by Paul McCartney and Wings.
And what do you call a dog with wings?
Don't. I do
Linda
not.
McCartney.
Yeah, thank you.
Linda.
Thank you.
Hey, at least she had 2 legs. Anyways.
Right. Do you want to do your impersonation of Linda McCartney? Thank you.
Anyways, so here's the thing. It's like you can debate who was is it Belichick or Brady? Was it Lennon or McCartney? Which one had a better post career? Up to 1980. Let's say until John Lennon died, who had a bigger career? Because Wings were huge, and Lennon was huge, but oh my God, I hate Paul McCartney's Christmas song.
Yeah,
stop playing it.
It's awful.
It's awful.
Yeah. I'd rather listen to "Baby It's Cold Outside" on a loop than actually no, just the rapey part of "Baby It's Cold Outside."
You would rather listen to "Baby It's Cold" with I'm trying to think of who's the female lawyer who represents everybody.
Oh, Gloria Allred.
Yeah, you'd rather listen to that on a loop, holding hands with Gloria Allred.
Yes, I'd rather her duet it with Al Franken. Man.
Well played, my friend. Yeah, so I just want to, as much as I'm in the Christmas mood.
Simply stop playing that fucking song.
And then you got, what was the song at the end of Scrooged?
Oh.
Is that a Christmas song?
What's the name of the song at the end of Scrooged? Oh, God. You know what's distracting me is that they're practicing piano upstairs, and all I can hear is
Carol of the Bells.
Carol of the Bells. It is. Now I got to look it up. Keep talking.
Can we talk about Carol of the Bells for just a second? Can we sidetrack?
Why not?
So, Joe's son, Chip Boy, is teaching my oldest Carol of the Bells. Here's the problem with it. My little guy plays it for 5 to 10 minutes every day at home. And I've literally heard it at least 100 times since the last time we were here a week ago. I'm all good with it. It's nice. I like it. I can never hear one note of it without instantly, it's Peter Griffin making, what was
ding,
it?
fries are done. Ding, fries are done.
And every single goddamn time my kid starts playing Carol of the Bells, it's Peter Griffin singing, "Do you want an apple pie with that? Do you want an apple pie with that?"
The song is "Put a Little Love in Your Heart," and that was an Al Green song, I think.
Christmas song?
No. It's think of your fellow man, put a little love in your heart.
Then how do I have it on my top 5 Christmas songs?
Because it was in the movie Scrooged.
Okay.
Directed by the great Richard Donner.
Let me throw this out there, Christmas folks. If Put a Little Love in Your Heart is not a Christmas song, then Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Die Hard is. I know Die Hard's. I hate that argument. The Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Die Hard. It's a movie that takes place during Christmas, and you know what? For people who are in their 30s and 40s that don't have children, yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. But for everybody else, no. It's an awesome movie that takes place during Christmas. Just like Gremlins is not a Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas, not a Christmas movie.
Batman Returns with Michael Keaton.
Right, exactly. We can go on and on. But I love Scrooged. I think we talked about Scrooged.
We're going to talk more about it today.
Good.
Because the aforementioned by you just moments ago, Richard Donner, Superman the movie turns 40 today.
Wow.
Today, as we're as you people are listening to it, it is 40 and 2 days old. But as of the recording of this podcast, it is 40 today. I have no idea how that's possible because I remember going to see it for the first time with my mom about 3 weeks ago, it seems.
Funny how time works.
I watched it again today.
Yes. Got the chills?
Dude, I do.
Yeah.
I do. We, by the way, I'll plug it now. I should ask Joe first. I would like to do a Superman the movie sideshow this week.
Yeah. I'm wondering, because I had a thought on your way over here.
What if?
This Thursday is going to be the last Thursday before Christmas, so I'm not sure if we should do a Christmas-themed sideshow. I like having production meetings on air and then putting it out there for people to debate. But yeah, we could do this. We could record 7 sideshows. This week.
So then I will talk a little bit about it.
Yeah,
it's 40 years old. I texted you today and said, "Hey, it's on my Apple TV. Log in and watch it." I watched it. The music always gets me. It will not ever be a time when it doesn't get me.
Little known fact, that was composed by John Williams.
We will do, and there's got to have been hundreds of books written about this, thesis papers, and probably 3 podcasts. Is John Williams the most successful person in films the last 50 years?
That is you posited a very provoking question. Provocative.
And about 4 years ago, Squishy, my youngest, started playing, and I think it was 10 years old by that point, the Lego Justice League game. Or I don't know when it came out.
Yeah.
Every time Superman goes to take off.
Oh, the DC heroes.
The DC heroes?
DC superheroes, yeah.
Every single time. It gets me.
Yeah.
But when you watch it in real time, and we were watching it this morning, and like the opening credit sequence is so elongated, and I'm fine with it. And when you first hear the music, and it takes a good 90 seconds of a slow build to the crescendo.
Yeah.
And every single time I'm 10.
Yeah.
Going to see it. And then I did. And she's such a bitch. And I'll say that on air. Nothing management loves more than taking pictures of me crying watching movies, because she always knows.
I'm not going to watch It's a Wonderful Life
She
in front
always
of her.
knows. But like there's Pa, like, the scene where Clark runs home from high school and he like gets all the way across Smallville and the kids are driving like, how did you get here? I ran, and the farm's like showing. I mean, he has this whole talk about, look, and Clark's upset because the football players are picking on him. And he's like, I could score a touchdown every time I touch the ball. Every time. And as far as like, son, you're here for a purpose. I don't know what it is. I know it's not to score touchdowns, And then, he has this wonderful, wonderful moment and then drops. And I'm like, and I know it's coming. It's like, if I ever get to the Senate, I'm banning the first 10 minutes of Up.
The last, how about the last act of Star Wars, The Force Awakens?
Yeah, exactly. that's not going to happen. Up,
Leia's not going to die.
I'll go down the whole list, but
Yeah.
but I'm going to start with Up and then get to Pa dying and Superman. But this movie, and again, we don't know when we're going to do a Superman one. Do you have the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Probably at one point, but this changed everything. Mm-hmm. Everything. And when we do the sideshow...
briefly, just like a little analogy, what Star Wars did to sci-fi, Superman did to comic books.
Yeah. And I think Yeah, they both had uphill battles to fight. When we do it, we're not going to read off facts from Wikipedia. I mean, if you want to go look up the people who they wanted to play Superman, the list that was approved by the studio, Muhammad Ali was one of their top choices. Yeah. Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
Was he wanted to play it. He's coming. It's shot in 76, 77.
Yeah. Right.
He
off
was
of
it.
Ladies.
And so you and then you go down the list of the people who passed, and it's wow, because you go to the backstory. Whoever put that suit on, and because there was a lot of TV shows and appearances, and either it was campy, it was kids, people thought it was career suicide in some cases.
Yeah.
Either it's going to flop and you're going to flop with it, or it's going to be successful and you're going to only be seen as Superman forevermore. Like at this point, Adam West was Batman for a decade.
Yeah. Listen more on the sideshow of Superman the movie.
But yeah, it turned 40 today. It was great. But it's funny because you mentioned Richard Donner, who directed Superman 1 and 75% of Superman 2 because he shot them simultaneously. They were falling behind, so they listen, pump the brakes on Superman 2 because if this flops, there ain't going to be a Superman 2. Just do this. And then he got fired off it. And the version that's on my Apple TV
is the director's cut.
It's the director's
cut.
Good.
Of 2.
Yeah. Oh, also of 1 because
it's his. Oh, there's a director's cut of 1.
Yes, because there's a lot more of Jor-El in it, or as we've come to know him, Richard Pryor's friend. And again, that might be the most amazing story. He got 3 something, like 3.1, 3.2. And this is 1975 money because they paid him 3 years before they started shooting to lock him up. All his scenes had to be shot in 12 days, and typical Marlon Brando wouldn't remember his lines on purpose. Like he will not remember it. Yeah, I got a high cue cards around the place. They wanted to shoot in Rome, and they started to do some production in Rome, and Marlon Brando had a warrant out for his arrest. They shot the Last Tango in Paradise.
Yeah. Last Tango in Paris.
And there's a rape scene in this that there was a warrant out for him. So then they're like, oh, we're going to go to London. Well, then they lost the director they had attached at the time who was wanted in the UK for tax evasion. But you go down the list of who they want to play Superman, who they wanted to direct it. And it was, they want George Lucas. They want George Lucas. Mm-hmm. Who, let's see how this Jaws thing does. Yeah, he's no longer available because he went right from that. Anyways, we'll do a sideshow. It's the 40th anniversary. Richard Donner. So
Blitzen.
So
let's skip the politics.
Let's
gloss over. Nobody gives a fuck. We had a mess of a week in politics. It all sucked.
No, it didn't. We'll talk a little bit about just good, but I did want to say but let's stick on movies for a second.
Yes.
The other day I woke up, for some reason, maybe mom-in-law or the wife had left it on Turner Movie Classic. It was an old movie I'd never heard about from like 1931. I got caught up watching it while I was making the kids breakfast and getting ready, and I hit record, and I came home and watched the rest of it. And then there was a bunch of other old movies that I'm like, oh, Ginger Rogers from 1932, 33. I'm like, yeah, I'll just tape this and watch it and stuff. So I watched like 3 or 4 old movies this week, all remastered, all look fantastic. And some of the movies are really small, and it's hard to find any real information about the production. And some of them, it's interesting that this person was tiny who goes on to be huge or stuff like that, Yeah. Interesting thing, and I don't know if it just happened to be the ones I watched this week, including Bride of Frankenstein. The movies just end.
Right. It was just sort of like the end.
Like it's building up to something. Here it is. It's over.
Yeah, the monster is killed or something happens, and there's like no epilogue.
Nothing.
There's just like
done.
Yeah,
and you're like,
well, I mean, honestly, that's probably to keep the runtime down so they could increase the number of plays in the theater. The number of showings. I don't know how movies work back. It was one of those things where like you paid a dime and you could go all day kind of deal. So maybe that wasn't the case, or maybe they just literally ran out of film.
film was expensive.
Yes.
And the processing of the film was expensive. But it was just, you have these depthful stories sometimes, and then it's just all of a sudden it's like wrapped up in about 2 pages. All the storylines come together. So I saw Bride of Frankenstein. The Bride of Frankenstein herself is in the movie less than 2 minutes. And she doesn't like him, which is why, Frankenstein decides, should I say spoiler alert? Are we past
Please.
spoiler wall?
I haven't seen Bride of Frankenstein, but so spoil away.
Because I know it. God, do you know when your grandfather was born? Because I know it predates your father. But
My father was born in 29. So.
Was he really?
Yeah.
So maybe a 6-year-old little, what was your father's first name? Mr.
Joe.
Okay.
Yeah. Mister.
So and Portugal, and the guys, was he from the Azores?
Yeah, the Azores.
Look at me, huh?
Yeah.
Did they have movie theaters in the Azores in 35?
I think they had
Okay, so maybe he saw it. But at the end of it, the bride, she becomes woke. She becomes a sentient being, and she is scared and aghast of the Frankenstein monster. People confuse. It's not Frankenstein.
Yes.
The doctor is Frankenstein.
Gotcha.
This is a Frankenstein monster.
Or Frankenstein.
Whatever it is.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Da-da-da-da-da.
Anyways, so it's funny, and it's the same thing. It's this whole build. He's blackmailed into creating, like, they kidnap Dr. Frankenstein's fiance. Is this evil scientist in order to make him
I'll take the blonde, you take the one with the toy bin.
make another creature so he can see the trick, be part of it. She wakes, she sees him, she flips out. They try to calm everybody down. He goes over to hold her hand. She flips out again. He sees the fire.
Is fire good?
Fun fact: fire bad. And then he decides, the Frankenstein monster, to let Dr. Frankenstein and his bride leave, but this evil guy who made him make this creature, he's going to tear down the castle, and 3 of them are going to meet their demise, and it's over.
Oh.
That's it. And I'm like, the whole build to her becoming alive, she's on camera 2 minutes, and scene.
Wow.
So
Wow. What a trip down memory lane that was.
now let's get back to this year. What are we going to see? So we're going to see Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, that's a given.
Bumblebee.
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
You guys going to go see that in the theater?
Yeah, my wife's looking forward to that.
As is mine. Dick Van Dyke's in it.
And Angela Lansbury. I think they are both 200 years combined old.
Yeah, seriously.
I think, well, actually, all joking aside, Dick Van Dyke just celebrated his 93rd birthday.
And
Angela Lansbury's like in her 90s too or something.
And I saw a clip on Twitter of him performing recently. Dancing.
Yeah.
Like not
CGI, like he was on stage.
right, and not
dancing.
like 1 foot in.
It wasn't like old Groucho.
1 foot out.
Yeah.
No. Like, man, how wonderful is that?
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Clean living.
Clean living.
And so, okay, so Mary
Sometimes
Poppins.
good things happen to good people. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Just barely.
So you got that.
And you said Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. And we're going to Splash Zone or Splash Fest 2018, probably 2 or 3 times. Jason Momoa, Aquaman.
I heard Aquaman's a plus. Like it's an up movie.
Let's say you heard it was a shitty movie. Mm-hmm. Would I still be going opening weekend?
Yes.
Would I give it anything less than 2 thumbs up?
No.
Is it possible for me to not like a DC movie? Like physically?
Yeah, I guess not. No.
So I haven't seen Venom. I think we're going to Redbox
That's
out
DC
this week. But
yeah.
there's some hero movies, but I don't think there's a DC movie I didn't like. Even Green Lantern, I didn't love, but I'm like, I didn't hate it as much as I didn't like the villain. I didn't like certain elements of it, but I'm not, anyways. But that's me.
Good. Yeah.
So we got movies.
We got movies.
So from now to New Year's, what's the other one? And I know your management definitely has to want to see it. What's the period piece? Victorian England.
It's not Mary Poppins.
The Favorites.
Downton Abbey?
No. There's a
What?
big movie out now that's like Oscar bait, all set in Victoria, England.
Oh God, I blanked. I don't
It's
know.
like it's all over the crap.
I don't know. I know Downton Abbey is coming out with a movie. I thought you were talking about that.
No. I think it's called The Favorite. So I'm quite sure that your management wants to see that.
Okay.
So we'll be seeing a lot of stuff in the theater.
Were we talking about Scrooged? No.
Let's talk about Scrooged.
I love Scrooged. Scrooged is a great movie. It stars Bill Murray. We know Scrooged. It has lots to do with the 80s. It has lots to do with TV. And, of course, it's a retelling of A Christmas Carol. It's directed by Richard Donner, and it stars not only Bill Murray, but Bobcat Goldthwait, who was the second choice. It was originally supposed to go to Sam Kinison.
Oh.
But then he was classified as unstable. So
Really?
Yeah.
You don't say.
I do. I think, and who is it? Viola Davis in there? No. Am I misremembering my black women actors? Who played the mom and the secretary?
Oh.
Was it? Gosh darn it!
You were asking the podcast senior racists, not
senior race correspondent.
Racist correspondent. No, because I would be reporting on racist acts at that point. Chadwick Boseman.
Yes, good for you. Carol Kane, Karen Allen, Alfre Woodard. Yeah, she was also in what superhero movie was she in?
Fuck, who's a cab driver? I'm stuck on the cab driver.
Oh,
don't.
You'll not know his
Hot. Was he had like at one big Buster Poindexter?
Yeah, his real name is
Buster Poindexter, and the guitarist from Gold Star is Buttons. The singer of U2 is Bono.
But look at the cast. Michael O'Donoghue from SNL was in this. Brian Doyle Murray was his father in the 50s. Jamie Farr made a cameo appearance. Mary Lou Retton, of course. Oh, God. But, David Johansen is Buster Poindexter.
Did you try Staples? Like every part of that movie.
But that's another one of those stupid-ass, dumb movies that makes me cry. And like, every time. It's like every goddamn time.
You got something to say, little man?
Yeah. Right, yeah. And God bless us, everyone. And then, Niagara Falls.
Yep.
My Niagara Falls.
Every time you see some was it Genghis Khan he took?
Yeah, Genghis Khan. As soon as he saw his mother, no, it was Attila. Yeah, maybe it was Genghis Khan. Yeah, Niagara Falls. And we. I don't know why I try to talk on these podcasts because I can't formulate a thought. I just know that Scrooged is good. There are many scenes in that movie that just it also talked about the sensationalism of how television was going in those days, and how I think it opened with the Lee Majors Christmas movie. Was it like The Day the Reindeer Died, where it's like an action movie where Russians were attacking the North Pole and Santa's workshop, and they had to arm themselves and take out the enemy with the help of Lee Majors. And then there was the trailer for A Christmas Carol that they were working on that the network was putting together, and they had John Forsythe, America's favorite old fart, reading from a book by a fireplace. And then he didn't like that version of the trailer for A Christmas Carol, which was going to be a live. Yeah, it was going to be a live performance of A Christmas Carol starring Buddy Hackett as Ebenezer Scrooge. So then Bill Murray's Christopher Cross. Oh my God, Xavier Cross puts together he's the head of the network, and he put together his own, for some reason, trailer, which had nothing to do with A Christmas Carol, but it was a threat of nuclear war and famine and all these epidemics,
apocalyptic.
all these apocalyptic things. It's like you do not want to miss A Christmas Carol because your life may depend on it.
You can't show that,
right? And then the next day, they did show it. A woman dies of a heart attack because she's an old lady and she saw the trailer. And he looks at the headline and he goes, "Oh my God, this is incredible!" But he's such I don't know. He's so Bill Murray. And then the final scene when he gets visited by three ghosts.
Bill Murray at his Bill Murray-ish.
Yeah. I mean, half of that stuff was improvised. It had to have been. Where he breaks into the live performance. They're live across the globe. They're at the end of A Christmas Carol in the show, and he realizes the errors of his ways, and he just tells everybody to do good things. And if you see somebody on the street and they're starving, just have them, just take a sandwich and say, "Here, I get it now. I can feel it. I love it." And he starts to tear up in the movie, and it's just like another one of those moments where you start to feel emotions, Christmassy emotions, I call them. I don't like them, but I give them a name.
And then he breaks the fourth wall. He's talking to the audience in the theater.
Right, as the credits roll. Yeah.
Because the song goes on.
Yeah. All right, let's hear the men. All right, now the real men. Okay. And not just the women. Okay, the real women. And hey, you in the back who's been talking throughout the entire movie the whole time. Don't think we didn't notice you.
Again, that scene is Bill Murray it's it. I will always love him for that moment in time.
I mean, Carol Kane as Ghost of Christmas Past kicking his fucking ass.
Brutally beats the fuck out of him.
Right, and they're eavesdropping on his brother's family or friends playing Trivial Pursuit. What is the name of the boat that the cast of Gilligan's Island rode?
See, this is a scene that kills me. This is a scene, when he looks down to the mute boy and says, "You got something to say, little man?"
Yeah.
But when at the end, when he's wrapping it up,
oh right,
because his brother has the dinner party with their friends,
and Christmas present
that he's invited to every year, and he never shows, and his secretary, who is the one who sends out the gifts, and you're either getting a monogram towel from the network or a VCR, which in 88 was still
that's a hot item,
$300, $400 thing, which is about $1,000 now,
and it was like a high end VCR,
and he was only sending that to executives and huge people, and his secretary
towel. Most of these are towels,
and so his brother was to get a towel. His only living relative, his brother, and and his brother's wife is always like, "Why do you try? It's like you've been doing it for years." Like, he's my brother, Anyway,
Wendy Malick, by the way.
So the Ghost of Christmas Present takes him there to see him, and he's laughing with his friends, and he sees it, and he sees that he's opening a VCR, and Bill Murray's like sees this moment where how touches anyways.
Yeah.
But then when it flashes back, or when
it flashes back,
when he cuts back, when he's doing the live show, when he cuts in, and he's like talking to his brother directly, and he's like, "The SS Minnow," and he was like,
"No points this round."
And then they're all like, "Well, how did he know?"
Yeah, because they're watching live on TV.
The VCR was from Grace.
Yeah, that was Grace's idea.
That was Grace's idea.
Yeah, I got you a towel this Christmas. The VCR was Grace.
And then he says hi to his... I can't even say it without chewing up. He says hi to his wife.
You're right.
And it's just this moment like, oh, he really gets it.
Yes. And after every viewing, I vow to be a better person. And then I eat something, or I play something, or I watch something else, and I wake up the next morning and I'm still the same empty, despondent asshole every single time. It changes me for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm back to normal. Abby normal.
But, it does stick with me a little more And
But you are a good person because you do give back. You do go to soup kitchens. You do take in people when necessary. You do see a homeless guy on the street and hand him a sandwich.
say,
Here. Well, actually, the last time you ran into a guy who said he hadn't had a bite in 3 days, you bit him.
Da-da-da. Well done. But you give back in other ways.
I do?
Like right now, you're giving back. You're putting out good karma, goodwill, and you are going to delight me and at least a half a dozen other people because we are again going to do Self-Indulgent Theater. Not that you didn't just do it with the Bill Murray thing.
That was, yeah.
But last week when Joe read the lyrics to Dan Cray from dancray.net, not the jazz guy, his song Firing Line as Jimmy Stewart, it brought cheer and merriment to so many others. I, kind sir, would like to now call on you to read another one of my favorite Dan songs that has become an id song-ish. Where You Been? It's when I heard this song for the first time about 3 years ago when Dan wrote it. We haven't sat down and really talked about it, but I think it's a song from Dan to himself about some maybe lost years, about, hey, you've been gone for a while. It's nice to have you back. It's an emotional song for me. I love it. And I would like you to ratchet it up by maybe doing it as, let's say, Bernie Sanders, Gilbert Gottfried, or Paul Lynde.
You have to pick one.
Okay.
You decide.
For this, I think I'm going with Paul Lynde.
All right. It's not going to be good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Self-Indulgent Theater, starring Joseph as Paul Lynde, doing Dan Cray's Where You Been?
Everybody's waiting. Everyone came to see how it's ending, to see if you've changed. They heard you were lost, but now you've come home. Where have you been, kid? Where did you go? There's so many questions. There's so much to say. So much has happened since you went away. But they can't find the words when they get you alone. Where have you been, kid? Where'd you go?
I will never enjoy playing that song more. And last night when we were playing Firing Line, it was so hard. There was a couple times where I'm like, just keep my head down, kind of look at the floor, and don't make eye contact with you, because I would have completely. It's a tough song for me to play, as is, because I'm not good. And had I looked up,
oh, you would have lost.
Because when we rehearsed, like the couple days before, and at the end when Dan ended with your
gosh darn it,
I'm like,
oh
my God,
on it, yeah, something
yeah, it was great. So we I don't know how we're doing on time. So we're not gonna
50 minutes.
We're not going to talk too much politics. We're not actually going to talk too much sports. But I would like to just talk about the good. Something we won't talk about, but a horrific moment in U.S. history happened this year with the passing of a 7-year-old girl in one of our concentration camps. Everybody else is talking to that. It's horrible. I have no idea how we will ever explain that away. What makes an awful situation worse is the victim shaming. Well, that's what happens. Shouldn't have come here. It's like, yeah, that's what it says on the Statue of Liberty. But I want to talk about the good this week because some good stuff happened, Joseph. How does President Pelosi sound to you?
Sounds
not as far-fetched as you might think.
Oh, really?
Well,
you
first of all, let's talk about Nancy Pelosi on. You can't say national TV because it's worldwide. On worldwide TV, bitch slapping Benedict Donald. Bitch slapping. Flat out, gloves off, no more holding back. A polite, a respectful, fuck you, sir. At the meeting, he says, well, Nancy's not really saying much. She can't really now. She's in a really tough position, alluding to the fact that her speakership is in question because there are some Democrats who won congressional seats running on the Republican anybody, no Pelosi. Like, I'm a Democrat, but I'm new blood, and they played into what the Republicans wanted. Either way, she pretty much has the vote. She's going to be speaker. But Bloatis was trying to say, well, she's in a tough spot. She flat out said, well, she's in a tough spot right now. She really can't say much. I respect like the tough position she's in. And she flat out said, don't question the strength that I bring to this meeting. So it's him, it's Chuck Schumer, who will not make eye contact with them and points out, yeah, the New York Times are giving you endless Pinocchios on your stats. Like, politely saying you're a fucking liar. But Pelosi was the bad cop to Chuck's, I don't want to say good cop. He wasn't, kowtowing, to Bloatis, but he, Bloatis is trying to say, oh, I won the Senate. It's like, and Schumer's like,
well, Chuck Schumer said, when the president is crowing about winning Indiana and North Dakota, you're in trouble.
Which they don't win North Dakota if they don't take the Native American vote away. I mean, that's just the truth.
Right. But they're mostly.
But the good thing is, Nancy Pelosi, flat out at the meeting, and then she respectfully said, "Let's turn off the cameras and have this meeting," because. And she said outside,
let's debate about this in private.
Because she didn't want to on national TV say, you're fucked up, that your stats and figures are bullshit. And what I love, here's the two highlights for me. And Schumer called him out on it to his face without making contact, which I guess upset Bloatis. But to his face, on one hand, Bloatis is doing the typical thing, saying how great the security is and how they caught 10 terrorists this year, just making stats up.
What did he say? We caught 10 very dangerous terrorists in the last short amount of time. Like, he didn't even have a year.
And so Strick Schumer says, like, oh, so the security we have is working, so you don't need more money, so you don't need this. And then he also called out, it's like, you haven't used more than 5% of the allocated money last year. Why do you need more money now? Like, flat out calling him out. It's like, you can't say the border security is working and you've caught all these terrorists. I need all this more money for border security. It's like, it's either it's working or it isn't. Either way, it was just great to see that. Michael Cohen was sentenced this week to 3 real years in jail, 36 months, which there's not going to be any leeway on.
Well, I thought there was a possibility if with good behavior he could get like 24 months.
Not that low, like maybe a couple months off, they said, but he's looking at 34.
Yeah, and he has to turn himself in March.
By March. But now, the Mueller investigation recommended no jail time because he's cooperated. It's the state of New York that is saying, no, he still will not cooperate on this long list of things. And people are saying, if he flips on this, it's his father-in-law who goes down. It's family members of his that on the state crimes that can also be implicated. So he's protecting somebody. He's not protecting Bloatis anymore. And the state of New York prosecutors are the ones. So the judge got 2 sentencing recommendations. And at the same time, the judge also said, I think a couple of the months that were thrown on, he said, I don't remember exactly how many months he said, but he did clearly say, you lied to Congress. You're getting this extra time. Your sentence would have been 30 months. I'm throwing on an extra 6 because you lied to Congress, which is really signaling Michael Flynn, who's coming up for sentencing, Manafort, who's coming up for sentencing, also that past week. And look, I'm putting it kind of in the win column. At the same time, it's a grim history. The Russian woman,
Maria Butina.
Here's a great thing. It's like they have all the evidence where here's her texting and emailing back and forth with her handler, who's like the head of the KGB, who's one of the top 5 advisors to Putin. And Putin's still saying, I don't know who this woman is. I've never heard. But it doesn't matter. She 100. And when she gets home, people are like, oh, she's going to be afraid to go home. No, her mission was to sow dissension, was to stir up the pot, was to cause strife. And the funny thing is, and it was obviously planned at the RNC, at the Republican National Convention, when Bloatis won the thing, and he had his first question and answer period. The first question asked to him was asked by this woman, and the question is, if you get elected, are you going to lighten sanctions on Russia? The first question he got as the Republican candidate officially was from her, because that's how high up she had maneuvered herself. This is also wreaking real havoc with the NRA. Because they got all the dark. So
they're money launderers.
So you got the NRA having an awful week. You have another witch confessing. This Maria. You have Cohen getting a real jail sentence, and every time a layer of the onion is peeled back, well, now it opens up, and everybody knew it. When the inauguration ended up raising like twice as much money.
Oh, where'd that money go?
Yeah, good question. Oh, wait a minute. Did it go to a family member who he often kisses on the lips?
And apparently it was a company that did not exist until 45 days before the inauguration.
Right.
And it was like a quarter of the funds raised.
Money just went away.
This isn't a heist at all. What are you talking about, you crazy liberal snowflake, you?
So every time one of these witches, so this witch hunt now has had a dozen people in the inner circle pleading guilty, now doing jail time. Like the last guy who got a sentence, he got like 2 months or something. Cohen got 3 full years and not at a country club prison. And at the same time, it was the state who came down harder on him, and the state crimes, and the reason he's working with everybody, he can't get a pardon because they're state crimes. And that's the same thing with Manafort. He's going to be charged. He's being charged on state crimes, not federal.
New York State.
Right. And by the judge saying, you lied to Congress, that's shooting, that's a warning shot to everybody else who lied to Congress. Let's say everybody who might have been in the meeting at Trump Tower about emails, such as Giuliani, such as, so all these people, which this past week, since we last talked, like right after the podcast last week is when we find out Kelly is no longer going to be chief of staff. And in the last 7 days, you've had publicly Rick Santorum, turn him down. You had the guy, the chief of staff for Mike Pence, who said, not only do I not want this job, I'm moving back to Georgia. See you, bitches. Rick Santorum said no. The governor of New Jersey,
Chris Christie,
the ex-governor, turned him down. You know what I mean? It's like you go down the list of all the rats are abandoning ship.
And apparently he named Mike Mulvaney the acting chief of staff, to which Mike Mulvaney's staff said after the announcement, news to us.
And the great thing is everybody but Fox News has been playing the tape where right after he becomes, the nominee, it's like on a hot mic, Mulvaney saying he's the worst person we could have had run. Like at the time, like right. Before, it's like he was one of those never Trumpers, and now he's chief of staff. So,
oh boy.
So that, what? It wasn't the worst week. I think,
was it a Christmas miracle?
We got what? 8 days till Christmas?
10, yeah.
Yeah, 10 days.
8, whatever.
Yeah, we
you're right. You're thinking future.
I think there's a couple more presents to be put under the tree.
This is like Hanukkah.
All right. You know what? I'm going to enjoy those thoughts.
And you are going to enjoy the dulcet tones of some 70s announcer from a defunct sponsor of the week.
Acid rain. Drug addiction. International terrorism. Freeway killers. Now, more than ever,
it is important to remember the true meaning
of Christmas. Don't miss Charles Dickens' immortal classic, Scrooged. Your life might just depend on it.
Fan-effing-tastic. I did want to say a lot of people were jumping on him, going back up for just a second. When Pelosi went back and forth and about the shutdown, and when he says, I'm going to shut it down if I don't get my way, and
he would be proud to shut.
He would be proud to shut it down
for border security.
And right away, like Nancy Pelosi jumps in, it's like, well, the Trump shutdown. She already hashtag labeled it instantly, and the look on his face, it's like he's like, well, if you're going to say you're going to own it, and when she called it the Trump shutdown, and it went back and forth, I instantly had this thought, and then over the next couple days, everybody had this thought. Apparently, every comedy writer on the talk shows, it instantly became a rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
No, we fucked it
yeah,
up.
I
fucked it up. But anyways, yeah, when he took credit for it. So on live TV, they got him to, say he's proud to shut down, take credit for it, brag about winning North Dakota.
And it's the only thing I think ever that Trump didn't want to brand with his name on it. Wait a minute. I don't want this shutdown being named a Trump shutdown.
And you can't spin it now, bitch. Or you could try.
Right. Hey, didn't we have a defunct sponsor already?
We did. So let's get into sport.
Yes.
I don't have anything.
Why? Nothing happened with the Patriots last week? Nah.
Yesterday's Steelers game. I don't want to talk about
another triumphant win.
And what happened in Miami. Don't want to talk about, and everyone's talked about. Plus, we've just babbled on long enough. Let's get to what the people really want.
The end.
More self-indulgent theater. We do not have a random video game review of the week because
we have a intentional video game review of the week.
Now, I'll let you tell the people. It is like Hanukkah because it's not Christmas.
It's like Little Christmas. No, wait, Little Christmas is December 6th. I'm stupid. Sonic Mega Collection Plus is what Jacques handed to me for the PlayStation 2. So a little backstory. Last weekend, he's in the ladies section of Savers for some reason.
For some red pants.
Looking for some red pants.
Thank you, Alex.
Hot pants, as I like to call them. And he remembers from my discussion last week about looking for games at, these places like Savers and Goodwill and what have you. So he stumbles upon a shelf of used video games at Savers, and he says, "Any gold here?" And I go, "Not really." And then, on second looking, I'm like, I guess maybe the Sonic game and the Star Wars game, maybe. Little did I know that he had left the store after I had texted him that message, which was 45 minutes after he had texted me about the games. Turns out that he sees my text and decides to turn around and go right back to Savers so that he could pick up the games that I mentioned and maybe have some value. So thank you for this. It's Sonic Mega Collection Plus for the PlayStation 2 and Star Wars Bounty Hunter also for the PlayStation 2. Complete in case with manuals. So
that's what made me say, hey.
Real gold. And for $4 each, that's not bad. Sonic, the Mega Collection for Sonic is, it's cool to have on PlayStation. I actually have a Sonic collection, for the GameCube, and they've re-released the Sonic collections ad nauseum. Every time a new console comes out, it's on the Switch now.
But on this version, it's before Lucas superimposes that Jabba scene at the hangar.
Right. This is not the director's cut. This is so the Sonic Mega Collection Plus. Real briefly review it. It's a collection of all the Sega Genesis Sonic games, from Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, and 3 to Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Sonic and Knuckles. Which Sonic and Knuckles is a funny game. It was an add-on. It's a standalone game, but it is designed so that it has a little compartment on the top of it. The actual cartridge, the original cartridge of Sonic and Knuckles, where if you had Sonic 3, you could put Sonic 3 on top of the cartridge of Sonic and Knuckles, put that into the Genesis, and then you're playing an entirely new game. It's like Sonic 3 Plus or Sonic and Knuckles Plus. And then there's Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic Spinball, which is just like a pinball game with Sonic in it. It has unlockable games and secrets. It's a redesigned interface. There's bonus extra material. And it's just fun to have. for any Sonic fan. And by the way, there's a Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out next year.
Live action.
Yeah, a lot of people are, a lot of nerds are up in arms because it's just the poster that's been revealed. But the poster has the silhouette or the vague outline of a quote unquote live action CGI version of Sonic with fur instead of maybe like bristles or quills, and it's just like, come on, get over it, get a life.
And I think the network response to that, or not the network, the studio response. Oh, did I say studio? I meant their mom saying, "Honey, when are you moving out?" I think that was. Now, what was the going rate of that? Because,
well, you got it for $4.
right? I don't see it any cheaper than $4.99 plus $3 shipping. So
Right, you got a deal,
dude. Seriously,
score. And then the other game is Star Wars Bounty Hunter. You play as Jango Fett, the most fearless bounty hunter in the galaxy. It looks like like a third person shooter, like a 3D kind of game. It looks like it's decent. It's LucasArts, which is good. LucasArts is no longer. They were the video game studio for decades from the 90s onward that would develop a lot of great classic PC and platform, console games for Star Wars. And this has the manual too. The manual, a nice full color manual. The disc looks to be in good condition, and it's just got like a neat little shot of Jango Fett jumping in midair while shooting off his double guns.
yeah, he had. It almost looks like a scene from when he's fighting Obi-Wan on the landing platform.
Oh, right.
So no, and when I saw that, I'm like, oh man.
This is Jango Fett
great.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Who Jango Fett, as we all know, was the DNA source for the
Clone Wars,
for the Clone Troopers. Yeah. So I'm excited to hear the review of you 100%ing this game by next week.
Right.
I'm not finding it. What did Savers pull out of?
Savers yanked $4 out of your hands for this one.
Cheapest I'm seeing it is $8.25 and $3.25 shipping. So again,
Good
seriously,
deal.
I think we just paid for somebody's college fund right here.
So yeah, this is actually, I don't know how well received this particular game was, but you can't go wrong with LucasArts. You can't go wrong with Skywalker sound design, Industrial Light and Magic, special cinematic sequences by ILM. So it's a one-player game, which is great because I don't have any friends, nor do I want any. And
Present company included. That's an I with the N, not the E.
So thank you. Thank you for those gifts.
No, because I do. There's been times before I've been in places and I thought, I should grab something, but I don't want to come here with a game you already have and just insult your collection. And you look at me, it's like, how would you think I wouldn't have this, troglodyte?
So thank you for that. Maybe just next week, maybe there'll be a present for you.
No, I showed up here last week with how many floppy disks from an old, my dad's cleaning out the closet, and it's a lot of scripts that we wrote 98,
yeah, like 20 years ago. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I texted him. I'm like, Joe, I found this pile of gold. Now, if I only had a time machine to go back and print it out, and you instantly.
Oh, right. It was on 3.5-inch floppies, and I go, I have a USB floppy drive, and he goes, of course you do.
So your presence is your presence, and all the manual labor I have you do on the tech world.
Well, let's see.
So that is great. So I've already covered what I've watched. Bride of Frankenstein. Give it a whirl, kids.
Oh God, what did I watch? I started F is for Family season 3 on Netflix. That's always good. And I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but it's like 8 episodes or 10 episodes or something. It's the animated Bill Burr show, 70s. It's kind of semi-autobiographical. He plays Frank Murphy, and he's like an ex-pilot, he's an ex-pilot who got roped into a family life early on, and now he's just trying to hang on for dear life, trying to get out of it. But it's funny. It's a nice throwback to the 70s and like the mentality of the 70s and how families and kids interacted in those days. So I don't know. You've probably not seen it, but it's
last year you got me to watch a couple episodes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I liked it. It wasn't like
it's like it's kind of like King of the Hill in a way where it's just like I can it's not like
if King of the Hill was PG-13.
Yeah, this is rated R. Yeah,
Rated,
yeah,
right.
yeah. This is an R. This is an MA. So I guess I've been watching that. I think I've. Christmas Chronicles. What a piece of shit!
Oh, see, I thought it was okay.
Oh my God! Actually, that movie. I was getting into it. I like the premise. I like the setup. It actually started to go downhill for me when Kurt Russell appeared.
Oh, see, how about the end when
I didn't get. I fell asleep like during the third act.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
so he has his adventures. I'll ruin it for you.
Yeah.
He has his adventures.
Yeah.
He's home.
Yeah.
His feet's up. The long, turbulent night's over. He had his run-in with the police. He had his jailhouse rock scene where he's jamming with. He gets put in county lockup. It's like one of those things, very Blues Brother-esque. But he's home. He's up. He's saying, how tough it was, and his wife's like, "You say that every year." Blah, blah. Turns around, it's Goldie Hawn.
Oh
and,
gosh!
And as the scene's happening, and it's off camera, and you see him talking to Miss Claus, and you see it from the back, and it's like, it better be, it better be, it better be, it better be, it is. And then I talked to somebody else about that. And they're like, yeah, the fact that one of our parents, one of the grandparents of my oldest son's friends, we were at pickup at school last week, and he had just seen it. And they say it takes place in Lowell, and this is one of those proud, born and will die in Lowellites. It's like, it wasn't shot in Lowell. None of those streets were here. And it's like, dude, the writer's probably from Lowell, but they shot it, I think, in Vancouver or something
Right.
like
He's
that.
a Lowell lifer.
Yeah. And anyways, it was okay. Well, By
the way, that was they crash land in in Chicago. Apparently, it was like Chicago in 1957 Eisenhower era Christmas Eve because the streets were barren. Like there was nobody on the streets except for the police officer and them. It was so corny, dude. Like I'm up for some cheese, and I was actually looking for some Christmas movies to watch. And I said, "Oh yeah, Jacques mentioned the Christmas Chronicles." And
and now you hate me.
No, I don't hate you. It's just like I get it. I mean, like, you also excuse me, you also said Justice League was fantastic. So I should have taken that.
And I'm right.
By the way, I will give the movie this. Probably the top 3 hottest Santas of all time is Kurt Russell. Like,
okay.
As far as, like, good looking, like, like...
You don't have to explain.
Splash Zone Santas. Yeah. At least that's what the internet tells me, because I would see, like, little memes going by about, like, the 5 hottest Santas. And
So what is the sideshow this week?
I don't know. It's going to be kind of dealer's choice. We're going to see how many sideshows we get to record. It probably will be Superman, because we kind of talked the Christmas stuff to death. But, maybe, who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll be a Superman sideshow, Superman the movie. Or is it going to be Superman? Are we going to do the entire oeuvre of Superman in an hour?
Well, they made 3 of those movies because there was 3 of them.
That's right.
And they stopped after 3.
Right.
After the one with Richard Pryor, they said, we've done it all.
Right.
Stopped.
They got the holy trinity of of Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor and Christopher Reeve. So.
Parenting tip.
Parenting tip. Gee, what would be a good parenting tip? I don't know. Let me ask a good parent. Jacques, what's your parenting tip for the week?
So, as I said, we didn't have an opening for the show this week at Uncharted. So we had our friends do it. Maybe Chip Boy does it next time. That'd be nice. And I've said before that the boys doing piano and stuff is a building block thing. It's like the pyramid. I'm not in a rush to, throw my... I'm not your wind-up monkey. I'm not here to do music.
I'm not your dancing monkey.
Dancing monkey. But you know what? I'm after seeing, Squishy's performance of Zombies, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe Joe Jackson, Father's Jackson 5 had it right. And maybe they are my meal ticket out of this hellhole. Yeah, where the biggest round of applause for the night went to an 8-year-old. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
No.
So maybe my parenting tip is the belt isn't just for holding up pants anymore.
Hope you like rats, kids.
But that is all I have. Joe, we got one more podcast before the old Christmas rolls around.
That's
but
true.
I'll say Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas
beforehand. Merry Christmas to all our listener.
As long as we're simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
I will punch you in the nuts if I knew where your wife hit them.
That's all for me. That's all for you.
I got nothing else.
Don't I know it? So signing off, and until next time, Jacques, don't forget.
Everyone's waiting. Everyone came to see how it's ending, to see if you've changed. They heard you were lost. Now you've come home. Where have you been, kid? Where did you go? So many questions, so much to say, so much has happened while you were away, but they can't find the words. Got you alone. Where have you been, kid? Where did you